Next time on Center Stage, Neil Young.
For the thought that I caught that my head is the event of the season. Wine crowds, just a trace of my face.
Tomorrow evening at 8, here on Channel 8.
I'll cop out to the change, but a stranger is putting the tease on.
You're watching WDCN Channel 8, Nashville.
This week on a special sneak previews in honor of Jurassic Park, sure to be this summer's biggest movie, we look back at Hollywood's long-running love affair with the dinosaur. From cute to terrifying, from hilarious to adorable, dinosaurs have been a favorite subject for the movies, and they're the stars of this week's show, Dino-Mania. Dinosaurs may be among the oldest known creatures, of course, but they're also the newest hot topic in movies, on magazine covers, even in dazzling new computer adventures. And on this very special sneak previews, we'll show you dinosaurs like you've probably never seen them before, when we look back on more than a dozen amazing movies and videos that offer some wildly different visions of these ever-popular prehistoric beasts. I'm Jeffrey Lyons.
And I'm Michael Medved, and I've got to congratulate you on this safari jacket. Are you impersonating a paleontologist?
You say that easily, yes. Dressed for the occasion,
You can get a ticket for that. Well, and ever since the Earth cooled and humans first learned to walk erect in front of movie cameras, filmmakers have focused their attention on dinosaurs, most often portraying them as scary, awe-inspiring brutes who are constantly wrestling with one another, or else they're menacing the puny people who run around at their feet. The Lost World is a silent classic based on a story by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. It's about a British scientist leading an expedition to South America where his towering intellect leads him to some brilliant conclusions. This picture turned out to be a brontosaurus-sized hit back in 1925 due to the pioneering stop-motion photography by Willis O'Brien, who later went on to win even greater fame for the special effects on King Kong. Now, he used flexible models to show his critters growling and staring and even curling a disapproving lip before eventually going dino-a-dino in a battle to the death. Years later, Willis O'Brien had vastly improved his stop-action technology, using metal joints now instead of wooden skeletons for his models, so they had much smoother movements, and adding rubber muscles that expanded and contracted as the creatures moved. In this justly famous scene, Kong defends his new main squeeze Fay Ray from the unwelcome advances of a randy Tyrannosaurus. Now, they completed this sequence even before they cast Fay Ray in her part, so they then placed her in front of a screen and asked her to scream as they rolled the footage. Now, of course, any school channel can tell you that cave people and dinosaurs never actually coexisted, but in movies they appear together all the time. When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth features an angry beast who finally puts his foot down when the silly plot shows a blonde playboy playmate who's welcomed into this brave dino-battling tribe. The only problem with this movie is that the stop-motion dinosaurs are far more lifelike than the grade Z actors. So naturally, the huge creatures not only want to upstage the bad actors, they want to run them off the set. In addition to these thrilling moments, When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth offers its share of tender domestic interludes too, such as a new dinosaur arriving on the scene. Now, this prehistoric pup may be shy, but the plot eventually draws him out of his shell, and he turns out to be so cuddly that he's later trained as a pet by the bleached blonde heroine. This movie is famous for only including 27 words of dialogue, all of them in caveman language and presented without subtitles. But though the script may not boast much in the way of deathless prose, the stop-motion effects by Jim Danforth are consistently brilliant. As the male romantic lead, here gets the best of a protective mother pterodactyl.
There's a great difference in the quality of these films. When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth, I will say, is a chore to watch. If you watch it on video, fast forward right ahead, it past the silly dialogue and the girls with
the silly dialogue is in caveman talk.
But it's very hard and very tiresome. But go to the
you
special
just don't understand
effects.
the language.
Right.
And you're not primitive enough.
Did the actors actually make it up as they went along, or were they coached to say this is what the cavemen sounded like?
It was scripted because they use the same words again and again.
Unbelievable. But the dinosaur stop-action sequences are done very well in a movie of this low grade.
Oh, no, the dinosaur stop-action sequences are brilliant. And I must say, I give a lot of credit to Victoria Vetri, the Playboy playmate who played the lead here. She wears a costume that was described by one critic as looking like it came from Fredericks of Bedrock. And, you know, this came out at the same time as another famous dinosaur movie, 1 Million Years BC, the remake, this one with Raquel Welch, where she became famous for walking straight at the camera, wet in her fur bikini.
You know, I watched King Kong the other day on TV, and while I'm not generally a fan of colorization, this happened to be a colorized version, and that dinosaur sequence that we showed, when seen in a colorized version, is astonishing because they left the dinosaur in black and white. He's all the more terrifying, and the green foliage around really makes it lifelike.
Well, it's astonishing enough even in black and white. And one of the interesting things is that they say that Willis O'Brien actually manipulated his little models of Kong and the dinosaurs himself. And if you look closely, you can even see thumbprints on Kong's fur where it was manipulated. He would do these scenes. Sometimes it would take them to do a 2-minute scene, 20 hours of changing the motions of each of these models frame by frame. Astonishing.
People forget that Wallace Beery was in The Lost World, meanwhile. This is almost a lost movie, and what an amazing accomplishment in technology for such an early time in the history of movies, because there is a fluidity of motion even in that early dinosaur sequence that we showed.
Well, the thing is, it should not be confused, this Lost World, with a remake that was done by Irwin Allen in the 1960s, I think in 1960, which is a much worse movie. And I think it just goes to show that sometimes you can have technological advances, but the old sort of naivete really works very well. And it's also interesting that in The Lost World, 1925, you know, dinosaurs had only been discovered in 1841. People were just getting to learn about them even at the turn of the century.
Terrible lizard. It was in 1841 when they coined the phrase, so to speak, of terrible lizard, and we've kept it ever since.
Made some terrible movies, too, because in addition to scary, scaly giants featured in so many vintage dinosaur epics, there have been any number of these prehistoric pictures where even though they try to inspire fear, they deliver instead moments of unintentional hilarity. For instance, if you think it's a bit silly to mix dinosaurs and cavemen, even though they lived actually millions of years apart, then what about the combination of dinosaurs and cowboys? Featured in the 1969 Warner Brothers Paleolithic Western, The Valley of Gwangi. Now, the cowpokes eventually succeed in lassoing this stubborn reptile, created by special effects wizard Ray Harryhausen, and they later display him in a traveling Mexican circus. Now, as the title creature, Gwangi, heads for his own last roundup, the plot becomes highly reminiscent of King Kong, and that's no accident, since the original story was written by Kong's creator, Willis O'Brien. But he died, perhaps fortunately for him, before he had the chance to make this film. to dinosaurs on screen, there's never been another movie anything like Robot Monster. This 1954 epic is actually about robots from the moon who invade the Earth disguised in gorilla suits and diving helmets. But at the film's grand climax, great guidance, the head robot uses dinosaurs to destroy what's left of the world. Now, the reason for this surprising plot twist to this no-budget movie is simple. Director Phil Tucker could save big money by incoherently splicing in stock footage of dinosaur fights left over from the 1940 Hal Roach caveman hit 1 million BC.
Cyclotonic vibrations will smash the planet Earth out of the universe.
Will they get out of it? Will the world be saved? You know, watching Robot Monster, I watched those dueling Triceratops, and it looked familiar because that scene was also lifted in my favorite, hokiest movie, so obscure there were no clips available, a movie called Lost Continent from 1951 with Cesar Romero.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, and my first time I ever heard the word, Sid Milton says, "Tyranna who?" And ever since then, I've been hooked on dinosaurs. I'm glad it's obscure and unfindable because it's my own little private memory of dinosaurs.
Well, it's too bad that the only way you can see the Hal Roach 1940 version of 1 million BC, not to be confused with the Raquel Welch version. The Hal Roach version stars as Victor Mature, who's even more buxom. But the one thing that's sad about it is you can see it in things like Lost Continent or in Robot Monster. It's hard to get itself. But, you know, Godzilla here, I think we really ought to inform people. I mean, even though it may break the illusion,
you're doing
that's
a straight
not
line. I know
a stop-motion model. That's actually a guy in a dinosaur suit.
Surprise, surprise. Actually, you look for the zipper, at least I was, and how many times can you hear that kind of crackle? You hear that in 11 movies. I don't know anybody who's seen 11 Godzilla movies, but I'd like to meet them sometime.
You've met him.
Right.
You've met him.
Okay.
Listen, Godzilla is the world's
you.
biggest star. He has made a bigger and more successful sequence of films than anybody except James Bond.
Right.
And he has a lot in
coming
common.
back, right.
Right. And he has a lot in common with Bond, too. He's also suave. He's a man of the world. He's sort of an international sex symbol. Yeah. And what's interesting in Godzilla versus the Smog Monsters, there's a strong environmental message. Al Gore would love it. And the fact is, at the end of the film, you see that Godzilla can not only fly, but he also breathes fire from his hiney. It's great.
My favorite scene in the Valley of the Guanji, the Valley of Guanji, is where James Franciscus goes into a bull ring filled with Mexican peasants and addresses them in English. Ladies and gentlemen, and you know that none of them speak English because the movie was filmed there.
Dinosaurs are the international language. I mean, the big thing in Valley of Guanji, of course, is Gila Golan.
Yeah, her lines were dubbed.
Yeah, but, I mean, she clearly could speak no known language.
Absolutely
but
right.
the fact is, she has a scene where she jumps on a diving horse into a little tub of water, and it's been commented that in every caveman dinosaur movie, the star has to get wet at some point, and this is the most elaborate way of getting wet they've ever had.
But let's not shortchange Ray Harryhausen's terrific special effects. They far outdistance anything else in this otherwise underrated dinosaur classic. Now, of course, dinosaurs haven't always appeared in scary or silly science fiction movies. No, they've also turned up in movies appealing to the biggest fans of dinosaurs, kids. Dinosaurs can be cuddly, tender, and cute. You just have to get to know them. This, for instance, is the very first cartoon ever shown commercially in a movie theater. Gertie the Dinosaur from 1909 was created by newspaper cartoonist Winsor McKay. He would present Gertie to astonished audiences in conjunction with a stage show, where he would stand next to the movie screen giving her commands, which Gertie would always, of course, obey. 8 decades later, animation technology had made a quantum leap, and no children's movie better showcase this progress than The Land Before Time. Produced by Steven Spielberg and animated by Donald Bluth, this dazzling but tender story follows the perilous journey of an adorable orphan dinosaur in a world in which food had become ever more difficult to find. But he'd heard of a far-off valley where plants were plentiful, so he leads a tiny band of friends there, overcoming countless dangers en route. The magnificent sweep of the movie, along with its beautiful score by James Horner and tender mood, will steal your heart.
Sharp tooth! Oh! I hope he doesn't eat any of you! Quick, this way! Do not stop! We must stay together! Oh, you can't quit now! What if the Great Valley is just over the top of these rocks?
Some things you see with your eyes. Others you see with your heart.
Another creative genius was the late Jim Henson, who created the Dinosaurs TV series shortly before his untimely death. Now widely available on video, it's scheduled to return to TV next season. Inspired, oddly enough, by the classic sitcom The Honeymooners, Dinosaurs is an often outrageous series about a blue-collar dinosaur family in a world Fred Flintstone might have found familiar. Kids will love these incredible creatures, and parents will like the cynical humor.
Excuse me, Fran, but I was prepared for Child 1 and Child 2. We planned for them, they arrived on schedule, and I thought the family was complete. But no! Arriving on track number 3, go!
Woo! Woo! Chugga 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 chugga.
Absolutely without warning.
Chugga 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 chugga. Woo woo! Chugga 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 chugga. Woo woo! I'm the baby. Gotta love me.
I'm the daddy. Gotta go to work. How about a kiss?
But probably the most popular dinosaur of all time is a plum purple tyrannosaur named Barney, who first appeared in a series of kids' videos 2 years ago, but who then became a part of preschoolers' everyday lives here on a daily PBS show. Now a gigantic industry, Barney doles out sugary advice and monster-sized hugs at shopping malls across America. Called by some the biggest concert attraction since Elvis, it's easy to see why kids everywhere love him tender.
Let's all hold hands.
From me to you, won't you say you love me too?
See you, kids. So long.
Okay, we got to claim some credit right here, or accept some blame, depending on how people feel about this big purple guy. I mean, Barney got his first national television exposure right here on this show when we early reviewed one of his first video, and we recommended it. Little did we know, you can look at Billboard magazine this month, Jeffrey, top 25 best-selling videos in America. 9 of them, of the 25, are Barney videos. He's a phenomenon.
They were called Barney and the Backyard Gang. They featured Sandy Duncan. He never calls now that he's a star.
No, he won't return our calls anymore.
We never hear from him. He says, see his agent. My kids at the time, when they first saw the Barney tapes, loved them. Some people say that they drive parents crazy. They don't like that sugary, sweet laugh that he has. But on the whole, I would say for the right age group, Barney is basically fine and wholesome fun.
It's ideal for preschoolers. And frankly, I have a little bit more problem with Dinosaurs, the TV series on video for kids. I mean, it's very hip humor, and some of it's very funny and perceptive for adults.
Some of it's vulgar, though, and needlessly so. Absolutely.
And you know what? I mean, my kids seeing a few of those were actually scared. The dinosaur creatures, though, however, the Henson shop created are remarkable. I mean, some of the details and the facial expressions are astonishing.
But it's very fast-moving, and again, it is coming back to TV because it has a big audience. And every time I see The Land Before Time, I think the film is underrated. I don't think enough people saw this movie and appreciated it, and I think it's easily available at the video store. It kind of explains why adults love dinosaurs, too, why some people devote their whole lives to exploring dinosaurs and reading about them, because they're not just these monolithic monsters. Right. They're a fascinating group of animals.
This is a lyrical, gorgeous, poetic film. I mean, it gives you some of the sense of the wonder of this lost world, maybe a little tiny bit of how colorful, strange it may have been. And frankly, it's a perfect video for anybody who has a pretty good television hookup with a stereo system. Right. The sound, and James Horn is, you said rightly, beautiful orchestral soar just pours out of you, out of a good TV system, and the color is magnificent. It's a great thing to watch with family.
I wish I had seen live performances of Gertie the Dinosaur, and we should include here a quick mention of Godzilla vs. Bambi, which is a very short cartoon in which Godzilla's foot comes, and at the end...
Don't tell the ending.
I'm leaving the foot right up here. I'm not going to tell you what happens.
Right.
But that one you should get to somewhere. Now, for all we've learned about dinosaurs, they remain somewhat mysterious creatures, subject to constant theory and speculation, and passion too, and some classic films and excellent videos have tried to unlock the mystery of where they came from and why they died out. In Fantasia, for instance, Disney animators used Stravinsky's Rite of Spring as a backdrop to masterful creations showing how scientists of the 1930s thought dinosaurs originated, evolved, and eventually died out. In the midst of this sequence, a group of peaceful plant eaters senses distant signs of danger from a ferocious intruder. More recently, there's been a series of 3 entertaining, instructive videos available for rent, all hosted by Eric Boardman and Gary Owens, exploring the lands dinosaurs roam, famous dinosaur museums and exhibits.
Believe that maybe one lone dinosaur survived these millions of years, but I gotta see it to believe it. But luckily, there is one way for us dinosaur lovers to enjoy the world of dinosaurs, and that's the movies. But like these scenes from Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend, where explorers actually find a living dinosaur in deepest, darkest Africa.
Filmmakers have always been intrigued in finding ways to bring dinosaurs to life on the screen. For Baby, almost full-size, hydraulic-powered models of the dinosaurs were made in a warehouse in Los Angeles. Then, instead of using rear projection or miniatures, the working models were actually taken to the Ivory Coast in Africa. Then the stars were given a little last-minute attention, the cameras rolled, and the legend of living dinosaurs was brought to life.
And even more informative is Dinosaur Adventure. This isn't a video, but a computer program, easily installable on any personal computer, and designed for children as young as 3. This game, for instance, called Nameosaurus, allows children to match the name of the dinosaur with the way we believe it looked.
You're right. You found the Brontosaurus. Find the Tyrannosaurus. You're right. You found the Tyrannosaurus. Find the Albertosaurus.
Another alternative on this program is a computer book called Discover the World of Dinosaurs. You can let your curiosity be your guide and select any point on the timeline, and you'll instantly see exactly what was happening in the world of dinosaurs at that time, with dinosaur robots in real-life settings provided by the Dino-Mania International Corporation. You can also pick a destination and fly around the world, selecting any point on the globe and learn what prehistoric creatures roamed that part of the Earth. Notice the blue text window, which gives you all the information about the creature in the picture frame. Once again, we're back at the main menu, and after making another selection called Movie Theater, you can choose any dinosaur and bring him to life, right on your computer screen.
Apatosaurus.
This Dinosaur Adventure, which you can get in any computer store and in most large toy stores, is simply amazing. I've only got 2 reservations about it. Number 1, I just wish the music had been just a tad less annoying. And number 2, the problem is when you put this into your computer, you can't do anything else for a while. It is so completely absorbing. It brings you into it. For anybody who hasn't discovered yet that your home computer can also be a home entertainment center, they should go out and try it.
A word to the wise, those of us who are computer illiterate will never find any problem working this. Once you get it installed, if you can get past that, I had to call the company, and they took me through step by step.
And I thought you were a techno-weenie.
Well, it's addictive because it also gives you the sense that dinosaurs have been found everywhere, and it gives you the sense of travel. You can go to the most remote place on Earth and realize that dinosaurs roam there. Indeed, that Time magazine cover story recently said that every 6 weeks they're discovering a new species of dinosaur.
And some of that excitement you can see in the series of home videos that are available for rent everywhere called Dinosaurs, 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 More Dinosaurs, and Son of Dinosaurs, the ones hosted by Gary Owen and Eric Boardman. They really are a good deal of fun in addition to being informative, quite a bit more fun than the very unconvincing flop film Baby, Legend of the Lost that starred Sean Young and featured those big, unlifelike mechanical monsters.
If you were looking for a companion piece to this series, there was a good one that Walter Cronkite narrated, which was on TV, which is also available. Those videos allow you to use your imagination because they focus on the footprints and on the fossil remains, so that kids watching it can use their own imagination and attach a huge monster or a huge dinosaur to what we know today.
And you talk about imagination, never used more brilliantly than in Fantasia. The animation is unbelievable. unbelievably fine. And Stravinsky hated what they did with his music because, of course, the dinosaurs had nothing to do with it, but it does give you a vision of these dinosaurs evolving, changing, and then eventually dying out. But I think you can see all the different ways that dinosaurs have been presented over the years, and they're all used in Jurassic Park. That's animation, it's stop-motion photography, it's a guy in a dinosaur suit, it's huge dinosaur models like Baby. The only thing they didn't use is like having a little pet store lizard on miniature sets, like in Journey to the Center of the Earth. That they spared
We
us.
should give credit to our producer, Nicolette Ferry, who now knows more than anybody I know about dinosaurs because she sat through these constant series of videos and movies and clips on dinosaurs.
Helping to edit this together, and now she loves dinosaurs more than any kid. Thank you, Nicolette. So that's it for this week and for our special show, Dino-Mania. Please join us next time on Sneak Previews when we'll review all the new movies in town. I'm Michael Medved.
And I'm Jeffrey Lyons. And until next time on Sneak Previews, don't forget to save us the aisle seats.
Tonight on Channel 8.